Checked, Percy yelled, standing up. On what grounds? The judge asked. On the grounds that Gustav had an unhappy childhood. He's a victim of circumstance. And he really loves my mother's peanut butter. The court was in an uproar. Sterling was screaming about pirates and alligators, while Buckshot was trying to smuggle Gustav into the courtroom to provide the evidence. Just as the judge was about to deliver a guilty verdict, the doors burst open. Buckshot and Fingers Gumbo rolled in a large wooden crate. "Wait," Buckshot shouted. "We have a key witness for the defense." They pried open the crate, and Gustav the alligator crawled out, blinking at the fluorescent lights. The courtroom cleared faster than a sinking ship. "There's the thief, sir." Buckshot pointed at Gustav. "He's still got the evidence." "Fingers, give him the special sandwich." Fingers tossed a peanut butter sandwich loaded with a mild laxative at the alligator. A few minutes later, with a wet thud, the leather wallet hit the courtroom floor. The judge picked it up with a pair of tongs. Inside were the marked $100 bills and Sterling's own ID card. "Well, Captain Sterling," the judge said, looking at the Commodore, "it seems your trap was indeed successful. However, since the alligator is not a member of the Navy, and the crew actually recovered the money, I see no crime here, except, perhaps, your attempt to frame your own officers." Chapter 6. The Verdict of the Swamp. The Grand Admiral was not amused by the alligator incident, but he couldn't deny the results. The payroll was back, the base was technically still standing, and Buckshot had somehow prevented a diplomatic crisis with the Sultan. In the end, Sterling was ordered to take a mandatory psychiatric leave, and Buckshot was given a commendation for creative problem-solving in a tropical environment. As the PT-73 boat pulled away from the main pier, the crew gathered on the deck. Fingers was already counting the donations from the casino, Twitch was fixing the still, and Percy was writing a letter to his mother about his heroic defense of an alligator. Buckshot looked back at the receding island of Isla de Azar. He took a sip of a very illegal, very cold beverage and smiled. "You know, boys," Buckshot said, "this maritime spat isn't so bad. As long as we have enough peanut butter and the Commodore keeps his blood pressure up, I think we'll do just fine." From the shore, they could hear a faint, distant scream. It was Sterling, discovering that his get-well champagne had been replaced with soapy dishwater. "Wowie, wow, wow." Fingers cheered, raising a glass. "To the buccaneers of the Blue Archipelago." The crew roared in unison, and as the sun set over the Azure Isles, Gustav the alligator let out a satisfied belch, dreaming of his next peanut butter sandwich and the glorious, chaotic war that kept him so well fed. The End. The Skyskimmer Chronicles. Chaos over the Azure Archipelago. Prologue. The Floating Circus. In the drifting world of the Azure Archipelago, where gravity is a suggestion and the wind is the law, stood the military outpost of Aeropost 7. It was a place of rusted brass, leaking steam pipes, and the most magnificent collection of misfits ever to disgrace a uniform. At the center of this storm was Captain Silas Sly Sterling, a man who viewed the Great Sky War not as a geopolitical struggle, but as a minor inconvenience to his primary goal of finding the perfect hammock spot. His crew, the Aether Rats, operated the Cloud Runner 7, a patched-together skycutter that shouldn't have been able to fly, yet somehow outperformed every gleaming vessel in the Sky Fleet. Opposing them was General Barnaby, the Bluster Blythe. Blythe was a man whose blood was 40% coffee and 60% pure, unadulterated stress. He dreamt of medals, parades, and, most importantly, the court-martial of Silas Sterling. This is the account of their most chaotic days, a period later known by the historians of the archipelago as the Great Garter Belt Calamity. Chapter 1. The Feigned Fatality. General Barnaby Blythe was having a bad Tuesday. His office, a glass-domed room overlooking the floating docks, echoed with the sound of his own screams. "Aether garters!" Blythe roared, slamming his fist onto a desk covered in requisition forms. "Sly, you are the quartermaster of this god-forsaken floating rock. If the nurses need frilly ether garters to keep their flight socks up, you snap to it. Shake a piston. Do you know what a war this is? Silas Sterling leaned against the doorframe, picking his teeth with a splinter of mahogany. Easy, General. My stomach acid could melt through the hull of a dreadnought just listening to you. Have some peppermint. I don't want peppermint. I want order, Blythe shrieked. Then, his face went pale. He clutched a telegram that had just arrived via pneumatic tube. Oh no. Ironhide Graves. Grand Marshal Ironhide is coming for a sneak inspection today. Ironhide Graves was a man legendary for two things: his prosthetic steel jaw and his habit of firing officers for having dusty buttons. Blythe's eyes darted around like trapped moths. The base is a mess. The sinks in the officers' sky lounge are backing up with green sludge. I'm a general, Sterling, not a plumber. My ulcers. They're singing to me, Sterling smirked. You look terrible, General, truly. If you were sick, I mean, really sick, you could appoint an acting commander to face the Grand Marshal, someone expendable, someone. Like me. Blythe froze. A devious light flickered in his panicked eyes. Silas, you're a genius. A treacherous, lazy genius. He immediately collapsed onto his divan, clutching his chest. Medic, call the medic. I'm fading. The archipelago is growing dark. Lieutenant Arthur Clutch Pringle, Silas's bumbling second-in-command, burst into the room. General! Don't go into the light. I haven't finished the inventory on the canned peaches yet. Shut up, Pringle, Silas whispered. He's dying. Help me move him. As the Grand Marshal's skyship was spotted on the horizon, Silas was officially appointed acting base commander. Blythe, tucked into a hospital bed with a thermometer in his mouth, chuckled to himself. He expected Silas to fail spectacularly, leading to a swift execution by the Grand Marshal. Instead, Silas turned the command center into a tiki bar within 20 minutes. Chapter 2. The Sultan and the Stratagem. 2 weeks later, the archipelago was buzzing with the news of a royal visit. The Sultan of Sandara, a desert-dwelling potentate from the floating sands, was arriving with his 3 daughters. General Blythe, back from his miraculous recovery, was desperate to impress. Sterling, I want the Cloud Runner 7 out on a reconnaissance mission to the Void Wastes. I don't want your greasy crew anywhere near the Sultan. You're an embarrassment to the uniform. But, General, Silas protested, suppressing a grin. There are no pirates in the Void Wastes. It's just void. Exactly. Go find some. However, fate had other plans. The Sultan's private Zeppelin suffered a mechanical failure near the Cloud Runner 7's coordinates. Silas, ever the opportunist, rescued the Sultan and his daughters. The Sultan, a jolly man named Karim, who loved skyboats more than jewels, was thrilled. Magnificent! He boomed, standing on the deck of Silas's ship. This Commander Silas is a warrior of the clouds. I insist he joins the state dinner. Blythe, hearing this, nearly swallowed his own medals. He tried to sabotage the evening by sequestered Silas's crew, but Silas's boys, Gruber the mechanic and Willie the torpedo man, were already 3 steps ahead. To stall for time, while they borrowed the Sultan's royal garments for a prank, Silas had to convince the Sultan that General Blythe was a traditional dancer. It is a custom of our archipelago, Your Highness, Silas lied smoothly, that the general performs the mating dance of the sky goat before every meal. The Sultan clapped his hands. I must see this. General Blythe, begin. Blythe, trapped between a diplomatic incident and his own dignity, began to prance. It was a sight that would haunt Lieutenant Pringle's dreams for years. A middle-aged general, hopping on one leg and bleating, while Silas's crew snuck into the kitchen to replace the royal caviar with tinned tuna. Chapter 3. The nitrous negotiation. The conflict reached a boiling point when Blythe convened a fitness board to officially strip Lieutenant Pringle of his commission. Pringle had accidentally torpedoed a garbage scow, claiming he thought it was a camouflaged enemy sub disguised as potato peels. He's done, Sterling! Blythe cackled in his office. I'm breaking him down to seaman 3rd class. He'll be scrubbing